Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk Podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a special guest today, my main man, Scott B. King. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on?
How you doing, man?
Yo, I'm doing well, man. Just blessed to see another day, brother. How about you?
Absolutely. And I'm chilling, man. Chilling. Just been recording a lot lately, man. Just trying to, keep pushing this content out, keep it moving and shaking.
No, I like that, man. Consistency. We was talking, I know we always talk about consistency, quality. It's there, man. Keep going, bro. I'm a fan. Real talk.
No, for sure. And I appreciate that. I mean, listen, consistency, that's half the battle, man.
Yeah.
Just staying consistent. So a lot of people do a lot of things. Some people got more talent than others, but some people just don't stay as consistent as others.
Right, exactly. In all aspects too, especially in this day and age. You got social media, you got just getting out there, networking, man. It's all things that just play a part in it, in success. You got to get out there to be seen, right?
Absolutely. It pays to be seen by the people, man.
Yeah,
They can't invest into something that they not seeing up close and personal.
Exactly, bro. You got to do your own PR work, Especially you got to hit the ground running. You don't got that type of funds, those people in your corner. Sometimes you do. It's good when you got that. But, other than that, when you're self-made, you got to actually do everything yourself for the most part.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it always helps to have a helping hand here and there, But, I definitely think that when it comes to you and what you do, you got to just be not more invested in everybody else, but basically more invested in everybody else because this is your thing. A lot of people are not going to understand nor feel how you feel about what you're trying to do with your career or your life or whatever it is that you do.
100%, man.
But speaking about that, I want to get into what you do, who you are, and what you're about. So for the people who don't know, let them know who you are, what you're about, and what you do.
Yeah, right. So from Brooklyn, Scott B. King. I am the owner and creative director of streetwear brand Envy of New York. So yeah, I've been doing that for about 3 years. Since 2018, we've been operating for 2 years, around for 3 years. Like many other businesses, we took a hit during COVID, so we were MIA for a little while. So that's why I say operating for 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me about Envy, man. What was the inspiration?
Yeah, so Envy came around, during the time where I was making the transition in my own personal life, brand new to fatherhood. There's a lot of people in my corner that weren't really rooting for me. There was a lot that were, but a lot of people that I thought would be rooting for me that weren't. And they were saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I have my own dreams, no matter what. I'm always dreaming bigger than I dreamed before. So to feel that kind of vibe or that kind of energy coming towards me, it was almost like, all right, bet I'm going to channel that. And I'm going to make sure that I do it. And I'm going to make sure that I do it well. And so when you see it, I'm not only putting this in the world, but I'm also showing people what's possible no matter what. You got to reach for your dreams. And then as long as you reach right, as long as you move right, it's attainable. So I always like to just say, that's where that envious aspect kind of comes from. It's not really to be envious of other people, but envious of, a dream that is worth your potential. It's worth you striving for, but you're not going to reach it unless you actually put the work in. But once you get it, you're going to feel the love. You're going to feel how much, how fulfilling it is to really have something that you have your name attached to.
Absolutely. And for me personally, I was able to, be in the city with you, come to a few Envy events, Yeah. So I definitely got to shout you out for that. And I appreciate you letting me pull up.
Of course, man. I appreciate you popping out. I know it's a little dry.
Nah, man, it ain't about nothing, man. I'm all about supporting. I'm all about supporting the homies. So, if I gotta take a little drive to come support an event or pop up shop or anything that you got going on, I'll be there if I can, man. And by the way, I'm supporting. Envy. I got the legacy shirt. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of my favorite ones.
It's one of the top pieces for sure.
Yeah, man, it's one of my favorites because I'm all about creating a legacy. That's what Envy is about. It's about telling your story. So. Just making sure that it's always evident in everything that you do. So we're not living just to live, we living to create that legacy. So
absolutely.
That's why I love that piece so much.
No, yeah, this like when I actually got this from a pop-up shop, that you had invited me to. So, for the people who don't know or, just seeing, we'll get a chance to see this, this shirt right here was one of the shirts that caught my eye as soon as I, seen the pieces y'all had on display. And I was like, yeah, I need that. Like it just meant something to me that this was, an item that I could wear, having all
Yeah,
these beautiful black people on the shirt,
right.
and it represent legacy, and also it being one of my homies brand. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get this for sure. Like
Yeah,
this
that's
is
love,
an
bro.
essential piece to get.
Yeah, that's love. You always got to put, for me, I make it a mission to always put black faces on pieces if I do anything, just because I want to represent for our culture. I got to make sure, my son is 3. So when he looks at the stuff that I do years from now, I want to make sure that he sees black faces. You grow up in school, public school, textbooks, history, you see a lot about white faces, white people doing this, doing that. But most of the black faces you see, they come from, a point in history where they're talking about slavery, segregation. That's the most black history that we know. We don't really know about, the success. They teach you the basic stuff, like Martin
Right.
Luther King. I barely even feel like they touched on Malcolm X, because MLK was always just like, the dominant figure in teachings. But even things like that, like Rosa Parks, simple stuff like that. And it's good. Those people are great, but there's so much more to our culture, just black history in general that, it's important to shine a light on. So that's why that piece is, again, important to me.
No, yeah, for sure. And I actually wanted to ask you this too. You being so in tune with the culture, and trying to make a statement as far as you're
Yeah,
saying, like, black power, black, and just everything black. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, do
yeah.
do you feel like, with Envy of New York, you having that brand and you being able to put images out there that support black people, do you feel like you have a responsibility to the culture to show, improve, and put out those images?
I do. Personally, it is part of my personality too, my upbringing. So just me being a business owner, it doesn't matter if I was making smoothies or making clothing. I would still be doing something. I'll probably name the smoothies after the historical black figures. But when it comes to streetwear, when it comes to fashion, I just feel like we were overlooked for so many years. Um, I just feel like I'm obligated to kind of touch on those things, make sure our presence is known in the field, in the space, especially with the way streetwear is moving right now. It's a lot of luxury street brands that are more so appealing to high-end stores, but it's also streetwear brands that are kind of making stuff that appeals to other audiences that aren't just us, which is
Right.
cool, very dope. I respect it, but I want to always make sure we're first. Make sure that our people are first, because we're so used to not being first in a lot of things.
No, right. So kind of like piggybacking off of that, like, have you seen or experienced like different demographics being a part of the envy movement that's not black people?
Yeah, of course, of course. I don't just have black friends, so
No, right, right.
if you know anything, like usually your friends should be your main support group or your network.
Absolutely.
At least. It's not always the case. Sometimes you have coworkers, but I have coworkers who have turned into great friends, and they support no matter what it is. They might not wear the legacy shirt because it's more so black faces on there,
Right.
but they still show love. They still support it. They still promote it, tell people about it, and I'm thankful for them, honestly.
Yeah, it takes more than just one subsection of people to make a movement be as big as it
Right,
can be. Everybody from different cultures, different backgrounds, different races, or whatever
right,
the case may be, they all have had a helping hand in making movements more powerful than they would normally be if it was just one section of people trying to make that movement go further. So I,
right.
I definitely see that that's something that would be important for the envy movement to be all it
Yeah.
could be and make the impact that you wanted to make.
Right, exactly. It'd be a little naive not to think that there was others involved. But even besides that, it's like, it's envy of New York. And New York is always known to be the melting pot of cultures. People from around the world are from here. Especially now, you got people coming from all over the US to New York just for career opportunities and so forth. But just being in that space of New York, I know you out from Philly, but
No, yeah,
still,
but
Philly is going through the same thing right now, where a lot of people are going in for different reasons. But at the end of the day, we all coming together. That's what it's about. To create something beautiful.
no, yeah, and I'm curious to know. You kind of just touched on it, but I'll just ask the question formally. So, you
Yeah.
being from Brooklyn, Brooklyn is heavy
Right.
culture. Type of situation. So, do you
Or
feel like Brooklyn or just New York City as a whole has influenced your ideology about how you want Envy to be, as far as putting those images out, being real culture oriented and things as such?
yeah, I mean, I spent about maybe 8 years or so outside of New York City. So outside of Brooklyn, I was still in New York, but I was further up, maybe about an hour away from Brooklyn. So
Okay.
I just say New York as a whole. I'm not really like far up in New York. Not really like Buffalo, even though
Right.
Buffalo's making a little wave right
Oh,
now.
for
A
sure.
couple people coming out of there.
Oh, yeah, we
But
gonna touch on that.
yeah. But I will say all of New York. New York has a mentality that's different than any other state. There's a few states that are like it. Shout out to DC, Washington area, the whole DMV area. Really, honestly, Chicago, Philly, and out in PA, even parts of LA or West Coast. You see that culture all around. And envy of New York is envy of NY right now. But one day I have had a dream to eventually go out to LA and it'd be like envy of LA. So, you know, it is what it is right now, but New York is number one. We just gonna say that.
No,
It's
of
all love though.
course.
It's all
Okay.
love.
Okay. So, you saying that you want to transition into, different marketplaces. What do you
Right.
feel like currently is going to take for you to get there?
Just the brand awareness, no matter what it is, whether you're doing clothing or not, just having your business's name, people aware of the brand, that's important. You got to have that presence. And I take a look at the packages that we ship out sometimes, and we do have that presence. It's not as large as in New York, but we do ship packages outside of New York quite often now, and I'm seeing that grow more and more. So that brand awareness is number one. And then also, just like we touched on earlier, people supporting the movement. Even if you're not purchasing something, at least, you're making the brand so that it's word of mouth, which goes into awareness too. So it's the support, and then it's just making sure that the brand is in front of people's faces, no matter what.
Nah, yeah, because I'll be on Instagram, but like, I gotta be on Instagram, promoting my
Right,
own
right,
shit,
right.
right?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
coming across, like envy and things as such. I've seen some prominent Instagram figures wearing envy. Like I saw Shiggy had on the shorts,
Yeah, yeah,
Chick-fil-A, I think he had on the shorts too,
yeah,
things
yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah. We had Mouse Jones too.
Okay,
I really respect Mouse Jones, what he's doing with Trap Karaoke. I was actually just there 2 weeks ago for my homie's birthday. They were out in Brooklyn. But Mouse Jones does a couple other things too. But that's one of the things he's working on really right now. And then he has his podcast too, God's Next Door, I believe. So
okay.
there's a couple of people. We want to make sure we get a couple more people in there before the year is over. But we're gonna see what happens. When it comes, it comes.
No, yeah, for sure. But so like was that just like something that just came off the cuff? Like this was something that they just heard about? I was like, oh, this is just some dope wear. Let me put this on. Or is this like somebody that you reached out to and made that connection, sent them some gear?
So with Shiggy, that was actually someone who had reached out on our behalf.
Okay.
Completely didn't even know about it until it happened. And then Shiggy reached out through DM and was just like, yo, I mess with the brand. I respect what you guys are doing, and he's a show love ever since then. He's a show love, sent him some pieces. He wore it maybe even the same day. I sent him something for him and his lady. I had to get both of them right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then after that, the rest is history.
No, yeah, that's dope, man. That like, just being able to have that kind of influence, like especially in
Yeah,
the city, like,
right, right.
it's so many people who do similar things. Everybody,
Yeah,
got clothes, everybody want to be fly, man, especially in the
that's
city.
a fact.
So
That's
so
a
the fact
fact.
that you was able to stand out, and make that mark for people to reach out
Yeah,
to you, like, just on the strength, that
word.
means a lot, man.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like you said, a lot of people got brands now. The market is oversaturated.
For
And I know
sure.
you could probably agree. You know, there's a lot of saturation ever since maybe even before COVID, but I know after COVID hit, there's a lot of people who started brands, a lot of people who started podcasts. So I know trying to differentiate yourself from other people who are doing something similar is not easy, you know?
Nah, not at all.
Yeah.
Nah,
Definitely.
listen, I ain't gonna hold you. So, like, shit, I guess I'll flip this on me and talk about the
Yeah.
podcast space. So, like you said, you were absolutely 100% correct. It's been a lot of new podcasts popping up from a lot of
Right.
different people, and some people have experienced a lot of success. As far as what I've seen, it's people
Yeah.
who achieved that level of success already was successful in another arena. You got
Right.
the rappers, the
Right.
athletes, people like that who make
Right.
podcasts and they pop, like, rightfully so. Shouts out to all of
Yeah.
those guys, Drink Champs, Joe Budden podcast, so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
Very
But
valid.
just the average person who's trying to make, this space, just being a podcaster like myself,
Yeah.
of course, I think that it takes a level of consistency, like we keep alluding to, being consistent. A lot of people make podcasts, but don't stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
They come out with episodes mad sporadically, like they don't do
Yeah.
it every week, every 2 weeks, or whatever their schedule is.
Right.
And you see a lot of people, fall off the side,
Yeah.
and they just whatever. But I know I care about this podcasting thing enough to be like, nah, I'm gonna like really rock with this shit. And then I get to talk to dope people, and I get
Yeah.
y'all, I allow y'all a chance to share your stories too, which y'all might not
Right.
get a chance to do on a normal platform, or at least in this kind of way. Just
Right.
free, free flowing conversation type situation and things of
Yeah.
that nature. So I also think that that's one of the things that differentiates myself from the next podcast, or
Right.
people who are normal people like me. I'm not a rapper or athlete, nothing
Yeah.
like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. And that's a good point that you hit on, when it comes to, providing a platform for people to come up and actually talk about the mission or even their purpose and doing what they're doing, the meaning is important because like you said, rappers have that, they step outside and they get all the love,
For
all
sure.
the attention because you know them, you know their face, they look like, what they stand for. But the people behind the brands, the people behind the scenes, you don't really know too much about them.
Right.
You only see what they put out on the merch side. But I was to an event this past summer, and it was maybe one or two people right in my area wearing Envy at the park actually, and then literally just walked past me, like 6, 7 feet away from me, just walked past me. So it's like you never know who the person is behind the brand, But to see it, to see it that close out in the public is a beautiful thing. So if I continue being the man in the shadows behind the scenes, then it is what it is. But I'll always enjoy stepping up to these platforms that give me a chance to share my story. I appreciate you having me today, man. Real
No,
talk.
for sure, man. And I
Yeah.
actually let me take a moment to do a shout out of my own, right?
Yeah,
So
go ahead. Go
we
ahead.
so we met through a podcast fan favorite, Sierra Ingram.
Right.
People love
One of
Sierra.
those. Yeah,
So
that's
shouts out
MVP
to
right
her.
there.
Like we was having you on a little documentary type situation or
Right.
docu-series called Emergent NYC.
Yep.
So we was able to actually sit down with you and kind of just get into what you do and everything and who you are, and
Yeah.
which we're doing right now. We're doing a little bit more in depth and things of such. But
Yeah.
shouts out to her, man, because without
Word.
her, I wouldn't have met you and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do this. So
Nah, big shout outs to her, man. She is honestly one of my favorite people. She be holding it
absolutely, me
down. That's
too.
why I call her MVP. That's an MVP right there, for real, for real. So big love to her, man.
Yeah, man, definitely shouts out to her.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I got a chance to ask you when we was shooting for Emergent NYC, but how did you get connected with that? And what inspired you to want to be a part of that project?
Yeah, so believe it or not, Sierra was actually part of the team. Um, Unfortunately, she, we all have 9 to 5s, we have busy lives. So, we had to go separate ways. And it's all good because she's still fam. So that's really what kind of bridged that gap. She had Emergent NYC. She put me on to it during when she was on the team. And it's a beautiful project that she has going on, man. It's more than a project. It's actually it's almost something that's like a movement, because it's doing exactly what you're doing right now with your podcast. You're giving someone a platform, and to give people a platform to really, really get, what they're passionate about is beautiful. It's rare, to have me come up and just chat. It's beautiful, and it's like, damn, like we really, really enjoy these moments. So with Sierra, that's kind of how I got introduced to Emergent NYC. So I'm a big fan.
Oh yeah, I mean, shit, me too, man. I'm just
Yeah.
happy that I was able to be a part of it. I know we shot we had got some footage shot, like some
Right.
interactions between me and you. I don't know if that's gonna make the final cut. I hope it does, but that was
Word.
a dope little situation we had going on right there.
Yeah. You got pulled
Shouts
out
out
the
to
chambers,
Sierra, man.
man. Yeah. I'm sure she got in the vault. Definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that project come out and just to see what else she does with whoever else that she features on the Emergent NYC
Right.
project. But I'm definitely excited that you was a part of it and I was a part of it with you.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And
100%.
I thought it was funny too, like when you mentioned like just the people wearing the gear and walking past you. I
Yeah.
walk right past you on the way up to the to the spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, man. You never know. Life is funny like that. People cross paths for whatever reasons, and you can walk. I probably walk past with anyone. Probably walk past somebody 2 years ago, and then they randomly end up being coworkers, and they never even would have remembered or known. So, life is just funny like that, man. That I remember
No,
that.
for sure. I was like, because I was about to ask you, I'm about to say, do you know where such and such is? And
Yeah,
lo
yeah.
and behold, you going right to the same spot.
Exactly. No, that's funny. That's
No,
funny.
yeah, man. So I want to kind of get more into the like the people who inspired you to,
Yeah.
be in the streetwear brand
Hmm.
situation. Like who was some of the people who inspired you or who currently inspires you?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I was always kind of into fashion. I think it was just part of the culture around me. Not really fashion, but really just the street culture itself. I was a kid, knucklehead kid, always on the block, always in the neighborhood, running around. So it was easy for me. I was into sports. I got into music at a very young age. I think I was probably 5, 6. My two favorite artists was Jay-Z and Eminem. I gravitated towards Jay-Z, eventually found out who Biggie was, but this was still, maybe I was 5 or 6 at this time. So I was real into, the matching kind of tops and bottoms from Rockaway, Fat Farm, Fubu. Eventually I got into them, but it was really Hov for me. It was crazy seeing what he did with Rockaway and Rockefeller. That just seeing that whole business aspect come, the marketing, the branding, it was just amazing to me because it aligned with the music. And those are two things that I was always into. So, and then there was sports too. So when you start seeing the athletes come around wearing what they're wearing in the magazines, on the TV, you get into it easily. And my grandmother always, made sure, she spoiled me. I'm not gonna lie, my grandmother spoiled me. But
That's
when
what
she
she's gonna
passed away,
do.
yeah, exactly. When she passed away, I had a reality check. That not everybody in the world is going to spoil you.
Right.
That's just what it is. So you eventually got to make sure you get out there and get it on your own. So that's when I started saving up pocket change. I was a little older when she passed. I was probably in middle school when she passed away. So that's where it continued, where I was just still in love with fashion, still making sure I had something in my closet that was worth speaking about, worth bragging about. And then eventually, I kind of played with the idea of having my own brand. And that was early on in high school. I started doing fashion shows, but that was more on the modeling side. But it was still me picking clothes. It was me going to, this spot or that spot, picking my own clothes to wear for the shows. So that was cool. And then, a couple years later, graduated high school, went to college, started getting into graphic design. It wasn't my major or anything, but it was something that I dabbled in. Figured out how to put that together. I was doing flyers and stuff. And then
Right.
I transitioned, just said, hey, let me see how this look on a t-shirt, and then I got cool with somebody else who actually asked me to be a part of their brand. So we were kind of co-owners. So we were co-owners of another streetwear brand called BFBT, stood for Bright Figure Black Thoughts. That probably lasted a couple years. You know, it was a great opportunity, great experience to learn from, to grow from. But for me, it was like a starting point. You know, I wanted more. I needed more. You
Right.
know, I was always very passionate about it. Always wanted to do it and do it to the max. You know, not just okay, put this out. You know, we talked about consistency. We talked about putting things out with quality too. So I wanted something that aligned with those things, but also my own values. And you know, Envy of New York bridges the gap between, you know, touching on certain more serious topics, but at the same time, topics that, you know, aren't really serious. They're more so just playful. They're more so just things that people can connect to, things that people, you know, they feel. It resonates with them. So that's where everything just came full circle. And then, you know, here we are today, you know, 3 years into the brand. Um, my influences are still the same. Still look up the whole the same way. Biggie the same way. And then there's other people who are doing their thing, you know, other people who are in the streetwear, and people around me, people on my team keep me going, honestly. You know, big shout out to the Envy team, Envy fam. And, you know, without them, Envy wouldn't be what it is. So that's kind of the story of how I got into fashion and where I am in fashion right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No, yeah, man. Shouts out to the team. You know, like I said, when I got a chance to come down to the pop-up shop, I was able to meet the whole team. You know, they was
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
dope,
yeah.
man. So definitely shouts
That's
out to
love.
them. You know, shit, maybe we get a chance to get some of them on here, man.
Facts, facts. So they love to pull up, man.
No, for
Any
sure.
one of them, actually. They pull up, show love.
All right.
Definitely.
Yo, so I wanted to know, like, what are your top three, top five values that transition into, or that you like, that you bring
Right.
into what you do in Envy?
Right. So I always talk about self-love, you know, understanding your worth, um, discipline. I guess that's number three. The fourth would be family. Real big on family. It doesn't have to be blood family. It could be just people who support you, people around you, grew up with. Number five, man. I got to think about that one. You caught me with that question. That's a good one. I would probably say just just loyalty. Loyalty is a value. It's very important. You know, it ties into family. It ties into self-discipline, self-respect, self-worth, everything. You know, because it shows who you stand, what you stand for as a person, as an individual. You know, everybody says, oh, things like, you know, your word means everything. Word is bond. And that's
That's a
something
fact.
that you know, you can't play around with your word. Once you lie to somebody, or once you get caught lying one time, it's over.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
changes
that's
everything.
it. Yeah, it changes the whole dynamic of that relationship, and people start looking at you differently. People talk, you know. So those are my five. You know, I
Okay.
wouldn't change them.
Okay. Nah,
Especially the
that's solid.
discipline. Especially the discipline one. That's important. As a business owner, that's important for me.
Nah, shit, and just in life, like,
Yeah,
honestly, the
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the discipline thing, I think, like, it kind of goes hand in hand with consistency. Like,
Right.
just
Exactly.
staying disciplined and staying 10 toes down on, what you got to do, you doing it, rinse and repeat until you get to where you're trying to go. A lot
Yeah.
of people falter because they don't stay disciplined or they don't stay
Mm-hmm.
consistent. So
Yeah.
I think that that's
Right.
definitely like the number one thing for sure, or the number two thing, depending on if you combine consistency or,
Word.
separate it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's dope, man. That's
Yeah.
dope. I also wanted to wanted to kind of go back to a point too when you was talking about just your influences and you was talking about like a lot of rappers, athletes, and things like that. I think that
Yeah.
is dope for those people to have so much influence on different people who do different things. Like, we're not
Yeah.
in the same kind of field. You
Mm-hmm.
do, clothes, I do podcasting, but the
Right.
same people that you just said influenced you, they influenced me in similar
Right.
ways, just in a different medium. So
Yeah.
I thought that was dope.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cultural thing, right? You know, we
Yeah.
grew up around the same people around the same time, so we're gonna have that influence one way or another. And believe it or not, I actually wanted to do a podcast, but I don't have it, man. I don't got the juice like you.
Nah,
I
you
mean,
could
even the
do it,
questions
man.
that you got right now
Listen,
is like
nah,
I
listen,
probably have to
listen.
look down at a notepad or something, you know?
No notepads over here. I ain't gonna hold
Exactly.
you. The good thing about like how not how I do the podcast, but how I am as a person. Like I'm pretty much good with talking with whoever for the however amount of time I've known you, whether it's this amount or this amount. Like I just have a knack to be able to talk to people in a nice way and have long drawn out conversations. Like
Nah,
you know, like
that's
shit,
skill.
you might be cool with somebody for 10 years. You can't even have a 10-minute conversation with them.
That's all true, man.
Yeah,
That is definitely true.
you
That's
just gotta do
definitely
it.
true.
You just
Yeah.
gotta do it.
No, I respect your craft, man. Not everybody can do it like that.
No, but you could do it though. Listen, I'm telling you, it's
I
not
mean,
that bad.
yeah, anybody could do it. It just depends on how well you do it, you know.
For sure.
You know, you gotta give people their flowers, and you give people you know, that it is what it is. You just gotta give people their flowers. This is me. I'm giving you the whole bouquet right now.
No, I appreciate that. Shit, I got the flowers on the shirt. I don't know if they can see it. Yeah, you feel me?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, but yeah, this is something that you could definitely do though. Especially since you probably know a lot of people, a lot of influential people, and a lot of people who got stories to tell. It's no reason you shouldn't allow yourself a platform to talk to those people so the masses can hear. You know, people take a lot of gems from a lot of different things, no matter who's saying it. You know.
Yep. Very true, man. Very true. I definitely have grown my network, my support group, you know, over these last 3 years, especially with the brand. Met a lot of people, came in contact with a lot of dope people. And without the brand, honestly, I probably wouldn't know these people, man. I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for the
That's
brand.
how I feel about the podcast. I wouldn't know a lot of people without the pod.
Yeah. It all comes full circle, man. Everybody eventually meets for the right reasons, you know.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Yo, so look, I got two more things for you, and then I'm gonna let you go, man. You're a busy man. You running, you know, your whole thing. I'm gonna let you get back to it. But the last two things, one, just drop all your socials so that people know where to find you and where to find Envy of New York, to find the gear and things of that such. Your personal IG, Twitter, whatever.
Got you. All right, so my personal IG, Scott B. King. Real nice and simple. It's Scott.B.King. Literally my name. The brand Envy of New York is literally that. Envy of NY. You see the brand we got a drop right now. A lot of drops on the way. Check us out. We got the website too, envyofnewyork.com. We all over, man. Tuned in always.
Okay. All right. And the last thing I need from you, can you drop 3 gems for the people that they could take away from this conversation?
Man, I would say, I mean, this is the typical, it's mad cliche, but don't block your blessings.
Nah, you good.
You know, you never know what a blessing will be. It'll come in many shapes, different forms, different times. Just be open, always. 2, lean on the people around you. Those are the same people who gonna uplift you when you're down. And even when you ain't down, even when you feel like you're at the top of Mount Everest, they're gonna keep making sure that you don't fall off, you know, and without them, honestly, bro, it's hard to stay consistent. It's hard to make sure that you're producing quality, you know, being real with yourself, you know, sticking to your values. They make sure they keep you in line, they keep you in check when you can't correct yourself. So that's number 2. And then have fun with it. Always, no matter what you do, have fun with it. I think that's the most important thing. Like, besides all the discipline, besides everything, the moment you stop having fun with it is the moment everything else dies off. It will dissolve. You're not able to make sure that you're focused. You're not able to make sure that you wake up, you check your email, you're producing content. It's so hard once you stop having fun with it. So always just make sure you're experimenting, trying new things, bringing new people in to help you. And that's it. That's all I got, man.
All right, well, y'all heard it here first from my man, Scott B. King. Man, I want to thank you so much for this, man. I appreciate you 110%. I can't thank you enough for showing love and support to the HolloTalk Podcast and coming on here.
Of course, brother. Always. Anytime, man. Anytime. You know where to find me, bro. I ain't too far. You gotta come out to Philly, bro. Gotta show love, man. I got you.
Man. That's a fact. Look, yo, I ain't gonna hold you. I might have to hit you up, man, buy some gear, man. I need to drop some HolloTalk merchandise, man.
Got you, man. we could get the marketing scheme right, bro. Have everybody grandmas in the hood wearing that shirt, bro.
No, that's
Real
a
talk.
fact. All
Yeah,
right, man. I'm gonna get you out of here, man. Again, I thank you so much for coming on the HolloTalk
sure, bro.
Podcast and showing love. Thank you, man.
Got you. No problem at all, man. All love, bro.
All right,
Stay
thank
safe
you.
out there,
I
man.
also want to say thank you to HolloTalk Podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through, supporting our guests that come on. So go buy my man merch. Envy in New York. It's hard. It's the best shit out, man.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so we're gonna sign out
love.
on that, man. Peace
All
and
right,
love,
man.
all right?
Yo, peace, man. Much love.